Namaste, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum, Sat Shri Akal, good morning, good evening, and greetings of the day to all the naturopathy and Gandhian philosophy enthusiasts who have joined all over the world with us. National Institute of Naturopathy Pune welcomes all of us in this 48 days webathon, which is themed around Mahatma Gandhi, the healer, and his views on self-health reliance and other determinants of public health. Today is the 40th webinar in the battery of these 48 days webinars, and so there are still 8 more webinars to go, coming from eminent speakers in the field of naturopathy and also Gandhian philosophy. And since these are all the sessions which are interactive in nature, we shall all remind ourselves that our queries to the speakers regarding the topics that we conduct the talk on, we shall be posting them, howsoever sophisticated or innocent they may be. We need to post them in our YouTube and Facebook comment section, which shall be addressed at the end in the question and answer session of the webinar. Saying that, now we move forward to the first segment of our webinar. That is, every day we start our morning and also the webinar through a Gandhian prayer. This helps us to bathe our soul in purity, like we bathe our bodies every day in the morning. So now, today, we shall be listening to the bhajan Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, which is sung by Makarand Masram ji, staff artist at Regional Outreach Bureau, Maharashtra and Goa.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम भज प्यारे तू सीताराम।
सीताराम भज मन प्यारे सीताराम।
सीताराम सीताराम भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान।
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान।
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान। रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। पतित पावन सीताराम। पतित पावन सीताराम।
Dhanyavad Makarand ji, and that was a really lovely melodious prayer. And also, Regional Outreach Bureau Maharashtra and Goa is in association with National Institute of Naturopathy Pune, which is helping in the conduction of this 48 days webathon. And this association is being immensely cherished. Moving forward to our next segment, which is one of the flagship segments of these webinars, that is the Gandhi Katha, wherein every day we know something, a very lesser known facts about Gandhiji from his personal diaries. And this narration of these stories are being done by Professor Dr. K. Satyalakshmi ji, Director of National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune. And like every day, we are here to listen to the story by Madam, which will reveal us something new about Gandhiji.
Namaste friends. Welcome to Gandhi Katha. Today we will see what Gandhiji was doing on August 15, 1947. It was the day of India's independence. The British power that ruled over the seven seas and whose sun never set departed from India peacefully. The Indians took the reins of power in their own hands. Where was the father of the nation on this historic day? What was he doing on the day of celebration, the one who perhaps contributed the most to bring about this day? The independence was achieved, but there was still much work to be done. There was no communal harmony. He was the father of the nation, and so he stood by his countrymen in their misery. Communal riots had broken out in Calcutta, so he wanted to be there amongst the people. He went and stood right there in the middle of the communal fire. Then, where did he sleep on that night of independence? Belia Ghat, one of the poor localities of Calcutta. And Bapu decided to stay there in a small house. Bapu's bed was made on a wooden plank, and all others slept on the floor, spreading whatever they found handy. When Bapu noticed this, he said, "All of you are sleeping on the floor, and I sleep on this Chatrapalang, that is royal bed. How is it possible? That is not proper. I will also sleep on the floor." It was as though the bed was pricking Bapu, and the bed was like a Chattar Palang, that is a royal bed. He made fun of that and then satisfied uh, to sleep only on the floor like all others. So that is how he was celebrating his Independence Day, while all other Indians were celebrating freedom that we got, and more so the celebrations that are taking place in Delhi, the capital of India. The, and he sat in a hut like the poorest of the poor people. Through his act and his example, he showed what remained to be done, that is, to bring about communal harmony. That was the need of the hour now. Celebrations can come later. So, that was what Gandhiji was doing on 15th August 1947. Thank you, friends, for your time.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a nice story. It's very revealing and a mind-opening story, because it rarely occurs to us that on the day of independence, what Gandhiji was doing, and this revelation is kind of a very um, um, a benchmarking one, because we never knew that this was the approach what Gandhiji had for independent India, and also the kind of humor he uses in the story, and the humility. He just shows the perfect combination of humility and humor, even in the times of communal fire. So that was what Gandhiji was, and similarly, every day we are knowing new things about Gandhiji as a human, not as a political leader, nor as the father of our nation. So thank you so much, ma'am. And also we acknowledged Dr. Vaishnavi, medical officer here at National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune, for decorating the narration with artistic and informative pictures. Now, moving forward into the next segment, every day National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune reintroduces itself to the posterity and all the viewers through its facilities and activities which are present in National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune. So today we shall be having a look on one such kind of program that National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune conducts, and this is one of the flagship programs. This is the fellowship program on Gandhian philosophy, and so the aim of this fellowship program is to reinforce Gandhian values in the society by imparting education and training in the Gandhian principles, and also its aim is to establish National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune as a living Gandhi memorial and also as a center for resource used in Gandhian studies. Apart from that, the objectives of this fellowship program is to impart education and training in Gandhian thoughts through fellowships and also other doctoral programs which are in the pipeline. And the next objective is to carve a healthcare model which is based on Gandhiji's vision of healthy India, one of it being naturopathy, which is being propagated by the institute. The eligibility for getting into this fellowship program is that any graduate, be they Indian or foreign nationals, can apply for this program. And the way this program works is that 1 week of induction classes are given to the candidates who have been selected, and then after, for 6 months, they are handheld so that they can write their dissertations or projects. So after the COVID breakdown, the 1 week induction classes this time will be mostly in online mode, which were earlier in the in-house mode. And the duration of this program is 6 months. So there are 3 categories in which the applicants can apply for, which are public health category, the social category, social issues category, and audio visual category. In this, in the public health and social category, the dissertations can be taken on topics which are related to public health or social issues. And in the audio visual category, there will be a audio visual, that is a short film or a film, which will have to be compiled by the candidates, taking any topic from social or public health categories. The course fee for this program is 10,000 rupees, and the selected candidates will be given 15,000 rupees per month of stipend, so that all the expenses which are incurred in doing the project work or carrying out the dissertation are met for. These are some of the pictures of the previous batches. These are the pictures of the first batch of Gandhian philosophy, which had started in July 2018, and during that time, the candidates had the chance of meeting Sri Anna Hazare ji, and then they had been taken to the model village, that is Hivre Bazaar, and also various eminent speakers had given induction classes. These are the photos of the third fellowship program batch, and similarly, the different eminent speakers had come to impart knowledge to the candidates regarding Gandhian philosophy. So this was today's activity of National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune. Now, moving forward to the next segment, this 48 days webathon, which had started on 2nd October, being Gandhi Jayanti, and shall be culminating on November 18th, the third Naturopathy Day, has its theme as nurturing vitality through naturopathy. In the previous webinars, we had been seeing the different aspects which contribute to improving our body's vitality, and now we are going to understand about different pioneers who helped shape the field of naturopathy to what it is today. So today we shall be learning about one of such personalities who pioneered the field of naturopathy, in the words of Dr. Kajal Gupta, medical officer here at National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune.
Thank you so much, Tanmay. Good morning, everyone. I hope all are enjoying the informative session of Webathon series, which is going on since last almost 32 to 33 days. So today we will be talking about a pioneer in naturopathy, that's Dr. Vitthal Das Modi. Vitthal Das Modi studied in Banaras Hindu University, participated in Indian freedom struggle, and became a very popular naturopathy doctor across the country. He was famous teacher for Vipassana meditation propounded by Gautam, the Buddha, and popularized by S.N. Goenka. While he was in jail during his freedom struggle, he translated Return to Nature, a book written by Adolph Just, from English to Hindi version named as Prakriti Jeevan Ki Aur, and Life of Buddha written by Siddhatissa to Buddha Jeevan or Darshan. He founded Arogya Mandir, that is Nature Cure Hospital, in 1940 and Gorakhpur School of Natural Therapeutics in 1962 in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. The hospital has 140 beds located in the natural environment. The school trained 70 to 100 students per year on principles of nature cure. Till today, it is considered one of the best institute or one of the best naturopathy centers in the country. He edited Arogya, a monthly magazine, being published since 1947. At time, its circulation has reached to 12,000. He had also edited Jeevan Sakha and Jeevan Sahitya magazines. His widely acclaimed book was Rogon Ki Saral Chikitsa. Its English version is Nature Cure for Common Diseases, and Jeevan Ki Kala, that's Art of Living. Lastly, Yadin, Memoirs, and Sukhmaya Budhapa, that is Comfortable Old Age. Dr. Modi was very famous for his very strong views and convictions about the naturopathy. So we will see like what and all the certain aspects of naturopathy which he explained to people what he used to think. First is vital force is a storehouse of physical strength, vigor, and verve. Sleep in itself is a medicine. Relax completely, it ensures the vibrant vitality. After sleep, sunlight is the element which helps to restore the vitality. Human beings cannot survive the lack of air for more than few seconds. The ozone in the air helps the lungs to cleanse our blood of carbon dioxide. Breathe deeply and take exercises regularly which forces lungs to breathe the more air. Best bath is cold water bath. Blood rushes to the epidermis when it gets cold application. But when you take a hot water, it dulls the circulation and it makes you feel lethargic. On bacteria attacks the weak human body. Many types of bacteria would be found in human organisms, but they do not necessarily give rise to the disease. Naturopaths understand that it's vital force in the body that fights the pathogenic bacteria, which needs a breeding ground. And what better breeding ground could they find than a dirty, ill-kept body? So Dr. Vitthal Das Modi acted as a president of All India Nature Cure Council for 3 terms. He was an advisor to the Ministry of Health, Government of India for 3 times in Nature Cure Research Council for carrying out research work in naturopathy. He was a visiting lecturer at Gandhi Nature Cure College located in Hyderabad, which was firstly known as Osmania University College to be the first recognized by a university. So I'll end my discussion about Dr. Vitthal Das Modi here. So tomorrow we will be talking about one more pioneer of naturopathy. So till then, feel good, stay happy, and be healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kajal ma'am, for giving us such an inspiring description of Dr. Vitthal Das Modi ji. It's really inspiring for us to be in this legacy which was shaped by these pioneers. And so now we come to the main segment of our webinars, that is today's talk. Before going forward, we shall once again remind ourselves that our questions for the speaker after the talk can be posted in YouTube and Facebook comment section, which shall be addressed by the speaker at the end of the webinar. So we have today's speaker, Dr. B. Syama Sundari ji, and she has a doctorate in philosophy from Hyderabad Central University. She had been a research assistant and she had dealt in projects for the Center for Social and Economic Studies during 1998 to 2001, and then she had moved on to Daskar Andhra, an organization which deals in the traditional handloom industry. She had published a book known as Traditional Industry in the New Market Economy, the Cotton Handlooms of Andhra Pradesh in the year 2001. She is currently the coordinator for policy research and advocacy, and she is a member of All India Handloom Board, and she had been a member of National Committee on Handlooms in the Planning Commission, which is now called as the Niti Aayog. Some of her projects in Daskar Andhra on handloom sector are: in the year 2005, she had written an article, Interventions in Design and Marketing, a study of 3 handloom weaving regions in Andhra Pradesh. Then, in the year 2006, in the book Handlooms, she had written Andhra Pradesh, a 50-year overview. In the year 2006, she had written the article Valuing the Non-Market, which was published in Economic and Political Weekly. Again in the year 2006, she had written Marketing Handlooms, a Fresh Look, which was published in Yojana. She had conducted a study on cooperative reform in the handloom sector, which was taken in coordination under the aegis of Handloom Committee set up by AIACA New Delhi. She is also interested in translation. She had translated into Telugu children's literature for schools and articles on development and education. She is associated with the Center for Learning in Secunderabad, which is a voluntary organization offering quality education for children, and contributes to journal Educare, which provides a forum for reflecting on issues of education and development, published by Center for Learning. It's really an honor for me to have this opportunity of welcoming you, ma'am, on behalf of National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune. Good morning once again. Namaste once again. And so we shall be starting our talk, ma'am, which is on, we will be delving upon the scope of reintroducing Khadi and Handloom in urban India. So first things first, could you please introduce us to the landscape that is the traditional textiles, Khadi and Handloom industry in our country, ma'am?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Tanmay, for giving me this opportunity. I'm very happy to be speaking at the National Institute of Naturopathy, and it's very interesting because when you think of Gandhiji and the canvas of his life and work, because I think he's an integral part of National Institute of Naturopathy, and he's an integral part of the textiles and the industry that I have been working for the past couple of decades. So his interest, and I think he has not lived in parts the way that we live in modern times. He actually found that point of unity, I think. So, and talking about this, if we look at, because now we are talking in the modern context in an urban setting, so I'm going to call this the textile sector. So in the textile sector, and let's take a time from the time when we became politically independent. I want to use my words carefully because I only say that we have become politically independent. So then the textile sector, if you see, because then Planning Commission, which came into being in the 1950s, played a very major role in actually defining how we look at development and progress and what is industrialization, what is the future of this country. I think Planning Commission gives a very good overview of the directions that the country was taking, I think, until the 1990s. So when they talk about textiles, they talk about the mainstream mills, and then they talk about the unorganized sector. And in the unorganized sector, then you have handlooms, you have power looms, and you have khadi. So it is very interesting because nobody paid attention to this. Khadi and handloom, for example, are synonymously used. People who know khadi think handloom must be also khadi. And that power loom is so close to handloom because it's interestingly, power loom is not put along with mills because both use mechanical energy. Logically, power loom should sit with mills, but they sit in the unorganized sector along with handlooms. Actually, that really defines, in a kind of a way, the love-hate relationship that handloom and power loom had until, say, the 2000s. You know, they are very closely intertwined. They actually eat into each other's, market and being, and they really have actually, I think, not done good to each other. So, but they also sit together. So the mill and the organized sector from then to now is only, say, just 5 to 7% of our entire textile production. It's very interesting. If you take percentage, mill still stands in a very small segment. And the next largest is the power loom, which is the unorganized sector. All the mill-made fabric or all the fabric not made by hand that you see in the markets is the power looms. Why they call it the unorganized sector is because they have few looms in decentralized units in towns and villages across the country. Their concentration probably is greater in Maharashtra and other places, and less, say, in Andhra Pradesh. Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, you can see that they have a greater presence, and in Andhra Pradesh, it has a weaker presence. So, because if we go into complexities of this, because they are also related to the resistance struggles by handloom weavers and their unions in not allowing power looms coming into their areas. So in Andhra Pradesh, the strong left movement, which was actually struggling for other things, also became a part of this movement of stopping power looms into encroaching into handloom areas. So there is very interesting history like that. So the next, as I'm saying, that 70% of our needs are met by, I think, power loom sector. And then handloom started with, say, 14%. I think this is the figure given to me when I joined this, or actively engaged with this sector in 2000, I think, 98, 2000. 14% was the figure given. The interesting fact is none of these figures are pakka in that way, because the calculation of these units of production is very, very difficult, because the unit will be the home and the producer is the weaver sitting on the loom in his house, and how much he produces is really left to him. He decides whether he's going to weave 5 meters a day, 1 meter a day, or not weave that day. So calculating an average production figure is always very, very difficult. And you have to actually, I think, use a lot of other kind of iterations, and you have to really think about it in a different way to come up with at least figures which are approximately true. So when I started work, the figure that I was always talking about was there are 124 lakh households across the country engaged in handloom weaving. Then it came down to 65 lakhs, and today the figure stands at 33 lakh handloom weavers. So whether this includes khadi weavers, because khadi again is a very, very minute segment in the handmade sector. I can't say handloom sector because handloom is different from khadi. And interestingly, handloom came into being in this country when the Manchester mills, came into Britain, and then the first mill came in Bombay. So that is when you had mill yarn, which was started. They started, because they wanted to hit the khadi industry in our country. Khadi uses hand spun yarn. So when mill yarn was introduced, and the Manchester mills were producing so much yarn, and they needed a market, and we were the ready market. So the British started importing yarn from Manchester mills, and that was supplied to our weavers. So handloom started then. Otherwise, the traditional industry, the traditional textiles for us is khadi, and always has been khadi. But today, I think handloom becomes a larger part of our textile sector, and khadi remains a very, very small segment.
So, ma'am, thank you so much for giving that idea, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, first question regarding your answer, from your answer is that can you please explain us the difference between handloom and khadi? Because you just mentioned both are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Handloom uses mill yarn, but the weaving is done by hand. And khadi uses hand spun yarn. So in khadi, there is more use of the. It is a very organic product because it uses yarn from cotton to fabric. It is all by hand. That is khadi. But in handloom, what has happened is yarn stage has been cut off. It has gone off to the mill. So it is hand woven, but uses the mill yarn. That is handloom.
Okay. Okay. So that's now we have a nice distinction of what is handloom and what is khadi. So
Yes.
now, ma'am, normally when we hear these words, either khadi or handloom, the first thing that comes up in our minds is it must be something associated with the rural side. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that context, we would like to know how you came across khadi and handloom. Were you from a rural background? Did it help? Or if not, what was it that introduced you to these two words?
Yeah. It's very difficult to say whether I'm from a rural background. When I was studying, I actually studied across the villages of Andhra Pradesh. My father was working in a public sector bank, and he was transferred every 2 years. And sometimes when he angered people locally, we were transferred within a year because I used to study one class in two villages, in two districts. So until my education, high school was completed, I was studying in the villages and towns. After from my I think plus two level, then I was studying in the city context. I was studying in Hyderabad. But does that make me in touch that, or did it give me an understanding of handloom and khadi? No. But what is interesting, what gave me this connect is I think lot of middle class households, I think they were still very much in this thing about how to strengthen this independent India, how to strengthen our country. I think even if people did not articulate it, I'm not saying my father was part of freedom movement or anything, but I think that local, what we have to now make a slogan, local, made in India, make in India. You don't have to make slogans then. I think people very naturally went to products that I think they were more familiar, like my parents' generation probably were more familiar with production on the loom. I was not familiar. But we have never used anything but handloom in our house, which it was done in a very natural way. And this became, I think it is also fortunate because in Andhra Pradesh, the cooperative movement was very strong. It came, I studied this historically later, that it was a strong part of the freedom movement. So Gandhi is talking about Swaraj and Swavalamban, in education and in establishing cooperatives as for local production, whether it be milk, whether it be textiles, whether it be any kind of village products. There was a huge cooperative movement in Andhra Pradesh. So handlooms were part of this cooperative movement. And because government wanted to then promote very actively until the late 60s, I think government really believed that as part of employment generation, these have to be supported. They saw it in a very positive way. So you have these apex cooperative marketing outlets, like what we call APCO. Each state had its own cooperative, and it had a name. So we bought all our clothes only from APCO. And APCO had outlets across villages, towns, and cities. Its outreach was amazing. I think at one point in time it had something like 1,000 units. So availability was not an issue. And everyone knew it was cotton and handloom. So for me, wearing cotton, not just cotton, handloom was a very natural part of my life. But that it had other meanings and that it was related to the rural livelihoods came to me much later. But probably it is also because of parents of those generation, where I think relationships, looking after extended family, because my father's family was 10 siblings and my mother had 7 siblings, and you can imagine that entire family, and my father being a very good, I think he was a good administrator. He would not like if I categorize him like that. So though he was not the eldest, family relationships and looking after the weak in the family was your duty. It doesn't matter whether they're your siblings or your cousins. And all those things were part of my upbringing. So looking after people who did not have enough capability or who are being pushed back was a very natural thing for me, because that's what we were taught. And of course, but when I chose this kind of when I made these choices, I'm not saying my family was happy, because they thought that I could have actually achieved more name and excellence if I went in the mainstream way. When I chose not to join the university and really join work with the villages, but this was somehow, I think part was my family and other was my great teachers in school and in college. Teachers who always spoke about the country and the society in such inspiring ways that they really stayed with me. And teachers in undergraduation also, where always they taught me to think about society and problems. So I had done, as part of my undergraduation, it was not part of our curriculum. We were doing a TB survey in slum areas of Hyderabad, because there was this thing about TB patients never completing their cycle. So if you take halfway through, you become better, and if you stop your medication, next time when it relapses, the medication has to be stronger and the earlier medication doesn't work. So they wanted to find out why people stop taking the medication. So we went around the slums. So these were all my early years of exposure, where I really believed that the real work is to, and my thing was always I have wanted to connect theory to practice. So my topic in PhD was also I was looking at the concept of development. And I was very inspired when Anand Kumaraswamy talked about progress as it's a rudderless ship going on a voyage. So I really wanted to, but interestingly, I would like to say that in my thesis, there's no mention of Gandhi. So anyway.
So yeah, ma'am, that was really inspiring, the whole journey of yours, ma'am. And also, while researching about you, we found out that this lockdown period, you had kind of rediscovered Gandhi for yourself. You started reading something about him.
Yeah.
So can you tell us how did it change your insights towards this the work you do at Dastkar Andhra after reading Gandhi?
Actually, see, one of the reasons I think why I wanted to, I'm also actually reading Tagore now. I want to read both Gandhi and Tagore. Um, I think what has happened is after 15 years of work, I'm seeing that even working with hand, you can become very mechanical. So it is some kind of a despair I have inside me when I'm looking at the weavers where so mechanically they start weaving. So and it has and all of them are very cynical about their occupation, and no amount of appreciation from, because we had for example, there was a project I think 1 year ago when IIT students from Bombay came and lived in one of the weaving villages. We were coordinating it because we had cooperatives where we were working with. They stayed there for 2 months and they were bowled over by the rhythm of work. So when we went, so we have to, I'm supposed to be monitoring their work. So after a month, when I went to the village, sat with them, we sat in the open, everybody was sitting in. They were saying, we never believed we can work like this. That you get up early in the morning, you start work and you actually wrap up your work by 10 o'clock. And then you go around village chit-chatting, doing other things. You come back, have an early lunch, have a nap, and then start work again. And by sunset you wrap up your work. They were saying that it was amazing but none of the villagers or none of the weavers actually I think resonated with that appreciation. So this has been a question with me that 20 years we are working, and the people, at least the focused way in which, for example, we work with around 450 weavers across cooperatives in both Andhra and Telangana. But and one generation of them, I would say, that have done well with our support, definitely, because they were able. But what has it done? They educated their children and sent them into mainstream. They sent them away from weaving. While that is fine, but they don't have the respect that this weaving is the one which has actually given me the wherewithal to support this education. Even that kind of recognition is not there. So there is so much of unhappiness inside them. So which is why I started just reading Gandhi to understand why did he talk about Khadi as the center point of a village. And then I studied Hind Swaraj actually with a group of people in a very, very focused way. So I realized Gandhi talks about Khadi mentality. It's not just production of Khadi. And that mentality is what is not there today. So which is why during the lockdown, it gave me this opportunity to go back and locate my own unease with the work that I'm doing. And that made me go back to Gandhi.
Okay. Can you just briefly comment on this Khadi mentality, ma'am? What?
Yeah, actually, it is a fascinating. Someone said, "Turn on a light; they can't see me."
Yeah.
The Khadi mentality, I think, is a very fascinating concept, because if you look at today, what do? We have become very good at aggregating things, assembling things, and we are giving up our knowledge of manufacturing. And we are not giving it up with any sense of despair, or we don't think that we don't value manufacturing anymore. That is one part of it. But Gandhi talks about it. What does Khadi do? He uses it, I feel, as a metaphor. It's a metaphor for a just society, a society where, there are no hierarchies, there is cooperation instead of competition, and there is no exploitation because there's no accumulation. There is a limit to accumulation. There is a limit to acquisition. There is always a focus on what are your basic needs and how does one fulfill that. So Khadi mentality is not just about engaging with that production, but it's also about producing a just and an autonomous society. What we talk about, all the, which is why I find it strange, all the talk about Swavalamban and Swadeshi are very empty or hollow if we don't actually focus on turning ourselves inside out. Because Gandhi very interestingly says, you just sit, look around you, what are the things that you're surrounded, what are the materials that you are surrounded by, and can you actually replace them with the products from, he's talking in say 1909 or 1919, because I was reading Hind Swaraj, which he wrote in 1909. So he says, look around you, look at the materials. If they can be replaced by products from the village, or if they are things that you actually do not need, replace them. He says, change your life. First, change should start from you. It is not about me just being a consumer. I realize in Khadi mentality, there is no producer-consumer divide in that very fixed way. Because the consumer participates in the production process in such a way that he integrates with that. He's not actually physically producing it, but he's part of that process. So, which is why Khadi mentality talks about cooperation so much instead of competition.
Okay.
So, this is one bit of it. There are many dimensions of a Khadi mentality, which is very fascinating, I can say.
Yes, ma'am. Really, I mean, it's something new for us to also change our vision, the viewpoint, our viewpoints with this Khadi mentality.
Yeah.
And I believe this Khadi mentality can be applied to any aspect and any business which normally happens, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was really nice, ma'am. Now we have a query, ma'am. That is, when we go to big shopping malls here in our cities, so the cloths or the apparels which we see there, what is the manufacture? How do they get manufactured, ma'am? Can you please enlighten us?
It is, no, as I was telling you, two things. One is the fiber that is used and how is it produced. So most of the products today are using synthetic yarn that is artificially manufactured in a laboratory. And then it is woven by mechanical energy, that is by power, using power. So it is either on power looms or mills. Why we don't see those? Because these are huge aggregators. Once you aggregate them and distribute them, you only see the final product. And so what we mostly see are either produced in the mill sector or in the power loom sector. And they use, at least I think 70% it is artificial yarn, but you also have cotton which is produced on mill. So you also have cotton which is made on a power loom.
Oh,
so that is what we usually see in the shopping malls when we go.
Okay, ma'am. So in this context, ma'am, so what could be the reason why, like we in the shopping malls, what could be the urban reasons for urban neglect of the absence of, because of which there is absence of traditional textiles, be they handloom or khadi? What do you think, ma'am?
Actually, I again want to quote Gandhi because he said, I think in the 1930s or 40s, when there was this proposals to start mills in India. He said, it might sound like heresy, but it is better that we buy Manchester cloth, then we are only losing money. But if we actually start mills and start producing, we are going to shed blood. Actually, Gandhi never uses such words. He said that because it's loss of livelihoods. And nobody paid any attention to this thing because you feel that there are, just like in agriculture, I think the words that we use, productivity, efficiency, the large scale needs these sector will not be able to fulfill. Interestingly, if you read any of his dialogues, these questions were asked to Gandhi even then. You think that there's a population explosion today and in the modern world these questions are coming? No, they were asked even then. So I see their relevance in a very limited way, in the sense that this looks modern, this looks efficient, this looks like you're walking along with others in the world, alongside. Because I remember first time when a top government official from Ministry of Rural Development, when it was part of one of our collaborations where we were asking the Ministry of Rural Development to recognize weaving as a livelihood, by the way. It is not in their thing. They do not recognize handloom weaving as a rural livelihood because they think it is unviable and it should be replaced. That's their argument. So when he visited and he first saw the pit loom, where the loom is above ground and the feet are inside a pit and the weaver weaves, he was shocked. And the shock is a very representative thing about the urban individual. He said it is a very primitive kind of a way of production. He said it's crude and primitive. These are the words. I still remember. It was in 2010. He said that. So I think it's a very urban reaction. You think that this is like slave labor, all kinds of things we think about. What is this? How much will he earn a month? Actually, if I support it, really, is it viable? If you don't think about it in an integrated way. It is true. In the modern terms, it is not. It will not give you earnings on par with a commercial production. But what is the kind of work that you do? Look at the garment factories. Look at the hosiery manufacturing units. And I don't understand in what way they look very sophisticated when you see people, because in a garment factory, if you have for example, the kurta that you're wearing, it is in parts. The hands are stitched by one, so one unit will only be stitching that. One unit will be stitching the front, one unit. So you don't have the hole in your hand. You're just mechanically part of part, and that looks sophisticated to you. So somewhere I think this homogenized, standardized, and that which gives you more production units has been looked at as something that is respectable. And handloom weaving, when you see a weaver, sitting in his house in a crude way, that is the words that they use. I'm not saying it's a crude way, but because for them the loom is part of their home. And this rhetoric, when you go on using it, it has become also partially part of the rhetoric of the producers. They also see themselves as backward. You people are sitting at the computer and, we are sitting on the loom. Because the computer cannot, you have the best CAD/CAM designs and all those programs which designers use. But without the use of all those, the loom can produce great designs, complex designs. So we can go on endlessly comparing and actually elevating one or pulling the other. But I think it's our mindset in the urban. The disconnect is because the moment you do not engage or you do not even feel the need to connect with the production process, whether it be handloom or whether it be your food or anything, you don't understand that there is a complex web of things that has to happen to bring the product there, and whether it is needed. Because look at the agribusiness, all those industries which refine food in such a way, are those needed? We never question those things because we are not engaged in production process. That disconnect is the disconnect, which is why we don't recognize today what is handloom, what is khadi. And we don't have the vocabulary or the tools or even the mind or the tools that the mind can use to recognize these things. And we don't give them even in education. We don't do that.
Yeah, ma'am.
We
True.
undervalue these things quite a
Yes.
bit.
That's really thought-provoking, ma'am. But
Yeah.
have you, in your experience, ma'am, in your journey, have you come across any brighter side of projects wherein both the advantageousness of our tradition and ethnicity is being coupled with the advantages of technology, like you just mentioned CAD or CAM? Have
Actually,
you? Yeah.
no, see, the thing is, for me, modern technology is not needed for production. The only problem today is our local economies have become so weak. Our villages have become impoverished. Gandhi uses one more word when he talks about Khadi, introducing Khadi in the villages. He says it is required for the economic, social, and moral regeneration. Those are his words. One may wonder, why is he talking about social is also acceptable, why is he talking about moral? Because unless you have all those parameters, recognition of a technology by its own merits is difficult. And in when the local economies have become weak, local markets have moved away. Now handloom has to, even khadi or handloom, they have to service distant markets. That is the fate of handloom. And see, an organization like ours, why are we needed? We should not be needed. Actually, if we had succeeded in making ourselves redundant, I think I would have said we have succeeded. But today we are still, people are still hanging on to us. That means we have not succeeded in our work. The markets have moved away, and then you have to actually match the market needs, convince the market that this technology will not give you standardized product. It will not give you 1,000 units of the same color, same texture, same uniformity. You have to educate the customer. You have to keep on linking them. So, because of this problem, the technology is useful only for markets. In production process, we don't need the use of technology to give whatever the consumer needs. I do not feel there is any need for that kind of technological. And interestingly, if you see this sector, where any small changes that they have to make, the weavers make it on the loom themselves. There will be one person, one weaver, who will say, I don't want to repeatedly do this. They will use some small ball bearing. They will use something. In one village in Khammam, one weaver used the motor of what is that called? Not the AC unit, but the smaller units that we have in summer. He used that for that to run the motor for warping. He just assembled it himself. So these kind of small changes where they feel that they don't need to go on repeating it by hand, but you can use small motor, weavers themselves fit it. You don't need a lot of research and someone to enter and do anything there. But the problem is about markets and the market demands. So, which is why when we were talking, also I was talking, it's more about the urban context that we have to talk about. It's not the production side, because if they understand that there is a true respect for this production process, which is when weavers also will become energetic. Today they are in a very uh, uh, the spirit is gone for them, and they are also waiting to go. So it is the urban context. If that changes, then there is lot of energy that comes into the village, into the handloom weaving that is still present in the villages. Because by themselves, I think weavers are a happy lot. It's not that they're unhappy with what they're doing. But there is comparison always today. And by being connected, someone keeps all the time telling them that, you can do better. I think it works on us.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
And
similar.
going to the city is a very great, it's an aspirational thing still. That in many villages today, it is actually really done what Gandhi said, that cities are sucking the material and human resources out of the villages. So you have only old people and women left in the villages today. And everybody else is, migrating to and fro from the urban to rural to do manual labor or to do contract jobs and leave their skilled work out.
So, by your words, we should probably introspect that we will have to like break apart of this fascination we have for mechanization, especially, right? So, ma'am, so the last question is, ma'am, like, do you have a mental image of a policy wherein, like you said, the we also not feel that he is having a lower standard of living, and at the same time, the urban centers, the shopping centers which are in urban areas, also have all the products by these weavers. Do you have some kind of that mental image, at least a horizon, ma'am? And how can it be achieved? Personally, what do you feel?
Yeah, I actually think in the current context, where we are talking so much about ecological justice, there is so much of emphasis on ecology and the harm being done by us to nature, actually, and which finally then it will boomerangs on us. It's like I'm really thinking, is there a reverse domino effect? Can we do that? That when I say, okay, I will adopt Khadi and handloom because there is less carbon footprint, for example, because I can imagine a young, uh, very aspiring or passionate individual saying that. But from that step, if we walk backwards, what does it mean to adopt that in food, in clothing, in our living style? I think small incremental changes, because more and more young people will engage with the production process of how it is being manufactured. What are the things that, how are they doing it? And why are they not happy? And if you actually start exchanging your life story with them and say that, what you see from far in the urban context, where I get up in the morning and I work harder than you because I have to travel 2 hours to reach the place where I work, and then I cannot put my head down. I have to continuously keep looking at a screen or talking to somebody, and then again in the evening I spend 2 hours. See, there are lots of stories that from the urban context that can be very honestly exchanged with them. So just saying that I will, I have a product which I brand and say it uses less this one, so many units, whatever, and I mark it and give it a brand and sell it. Buying it, I think that's just not adequate. And that is not even for me an initial step. See, which is why till today, we have not taken any branding for the cloth we sell. Unless you understand, why for 2 decades such and such an organization just restricted itself to these 2 states, going to these villages, giving you only this medium skill product. See, we also don't deal in high value products, because if you are focusing on livelihoods, it's the medium skill weaver who is giving you the everyday product who becomes the focus of your intervention. So if we have to tie up many units, you can't just make a change in one segment and think that a bigger change will come. How will we start living with nature in a harmonious way and allow nature to be? When you change your production process, and you have to change it little by little. See, radically overnight, now if I say no mechanization, throw everything out, it's not going to work like that. But each of us, when we make those steps towards reconnecting, when we say less carbon print in my clothing, what does it mean? Where is it coming from? And what are how are they living? The people who are producing it. somewhere that reconnecting has to happen in a very conscious and step-by-step way. I think that's the only way forward. It is very good that, people, young people, in our exhibitions and in our interactions across the country, we do see that they do come, either the aesthetic appeals to them, or the consciousness of preserving ecology comes to them. But you have to do much more. Go back. It's not a single unit, and just by that one gesture we will not, which is why I again say Khadi mentality, that we have to make a change in our life. We have to be very conscious of the because one place Gandhi says, he says, probably I now understand. I think it was in the later stages where he felt his followers also did not understand the meaning of non-violence and satyagraha, because he is not using it in an instrumental way. It's not an instrument to achieve freedom. He said non-violence is the result of an inner unity already achieved inside. It's the fruit of that inner unity. So, if our fragmented existence, the inner unity, bit by bit we have to build. It's not that I'm living a very integrated life, but I have caught on to one dimension of it. I'm holding on. I'm trying to hold on and actually see how it can reconnect to a larger thing. Because it's the same, I think it's the very same debate in agriculture also for me. Why today a farmer's family will say that my children should not come into farming, because they also have, in spite of being connected to the land, they're not actually connected to the land. Exactly what I said about mechanically weaving on a handloom, you can mechanically till the land also. So you have to understand why the land is not speaking to you, why the land is not producing in a certain way. And I think really we should stop imitating others. We should really listen to our inner voice and start doing it. I think then the strength of the conviction will come from within. Imitation, I think, is it's a very defensive kind of mechanism. When we imitate and want to live like others.
Yes, ma'am. Very true. And really, the whole scenario which you just mentioned, it's really mind-opening, ma'am. And you can just relate to the reverse domino effect you said. That is just because we have never seen. Okay, we can also think like that, because all the dominoes fall one way. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we actually lift the last domino,
Yeah.
then the previous dominoes actually rise. So
Right themselves.
yeah, that was really metaphoric, ma'am. And we have, I mean, we rarely have envisioned that kind of sight, because it can be done physically. Yes, the last domino lifts up the subsequent previous dominoes. It does. So that
It
was
does.
really nice, ma'am. And we understood the gist of what all you said, and it was really inspiring hearing to you, ma'am, listening to you. And so we have taken a little bit of time from you. So is it okay if we just extend for a little 2 to 3 minutes, ma'am?
Yeah, no problem. Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
Yes, ma'am. So the talk was really nice. It was really inspiring. And so, ma'am, in return to your talk, your wisdom, we have a special gift for you. Okay, National Institute of Naturopathy has a special gift for you, and that special gift is you get the chance. You are gifted the chance of participating in our rapid fire question round. So congratulations. Okay.
Okay, whatever that means. Yeah, okay.
So this rapid fire question round is, we will be giving you some of the words or a phrase, and then you will have to reply us with the thought which occurs to you.
Okay, fine.
On the spot. Okay. So the first one is, ma'am, what comes to your mind when I say the phrase designer clothes?
Fashion,
Okay. And then what comes to your mind when I say the word charkha?
freedom.
What do you feel when I say shopping malls?
Factories.
And what comes to your mind when I say fashion magazines?
It's mindless consumerism.
Really apt, ma'am. All your thoughts are really apt. So the last one, it could come a little bit challenging to you. So what comes to your mind when I say the idea that is the whole world as one nation?
Joy.
Great, ma'am. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being such a sport and participating in this rapid fire questions round, ma'am. And on behalf of all the audience and National Institute of Naturopathy Pune, these are the applause for your participation. And
Thank you.
thank you so much, ma'am. You had given us your precious time and engaged with us over this wise talk. And we are conducting this webathon till November 18th, 2020, ma'am, being the third Naturopathy Day. And we sincerely seek your best compliments and best wishes so that we take this legacy of Gandhian philosophy and naturopathic philosophy forwards to in the posterity. So thank you so much, ma'am. And
Thank
yes, ma'am.
Tanmay, I really would like to thank you because it has, for me now, I'm believing that it has come to me. I've been pondering about it for 4 or 5 months now, 6 months, and it has also come to me at a time when me and my colleague who now run this trusts, we have been thinking about what we did and what we should do. So I'm in that crux of that time. And after studying Gandhi, when your call came and I had to engage with it, I think it gave me an opportunity to actually explore my own thoughts and articulate them. So I'm very grateful to you for giving me that opportunity. I'm very happy. And I would really like to engage with NIN. I have not, I was just seeing your some of the activities that you're outlining. I'm thinking, let me see in what way, because for my own benefit, not for contributing, but learning. So I'm
Sure.
very, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And probably it was a message from the universe that we just
We connect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. That's really elevating. And thank you so much once again. Namaste, ma'am. Have a great day ahead. And
Thank you. Thank you so much.
so that was Dr. B. Syama Sundari, ma'am, from Daskar, Andhra, with us today in this enlightening talk. And similarly, tomorrow will be a new day where we can start new beginnings with the Day Starter webinar by Professor Madhu Kishwar ji. And she will be talking on traditional wisdom of Indian women in the context of Indian kitchen as a mini Vaidyashala, who shall be joined in the conversation by Dr. Haindavi Salva, research officer here at National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune. And until then, this is Tanmay, the Gandhian Studies Coordinator at National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune, reminding that self-reliance is only possible through self-health reliance. And until then, have a good day. Namaste. And we'll meet tomorrow.